Talking about guns, do you think any action on gun control would be an appropriate step to take this year?
You know, I'm not sure of what would be, to tell you the truth. I think we mistake the whole thing. Most of these terrible tragedies are happening where you have 100% gun control. There are no guns allowed in schools. We have a complete ban on gun in schools and malls and other places, and that's where the shootings are occurring. So I'm a big believer that guns can be and are a deterrent to crime, and that those who want to ban guns don't quite understand the deterrence or the self-defense aspect of guns. So I would allow concealed carry in school by teachers and principals. I think it'd be a great idea to be able to have some kind of self-defense. If my kids were at a school and under attack, I would hope that the principal would have a gun in the desk and be able to try to stop it until the police could get there.
Universal background checks, would you oppose that?
Well, you know, it depends on what you're talking about. If they were voluntary, no. If you're going to mandate background checks on everyone, how will you check to find out if everybody's doing it? You would have to have some kind of registry of gun sales. I'm concerned about what happened in Westchester, New York recently when they published who has a gun and who doesn't have a gun. One, if you publish the list and you find out I have guns in my house, now I'm a target for thieves. If you publish a list and say I don't have a gun in my house, I'm still a target for thieves. I find it very worrisome that we would publish registers. I also am concerned about future leaders who may come along who may use that list to then confiscate guns.
But my question to the president is, call me if any of your reforms would have saved those kids at Sandy Hook. If anything he's proposing would have changed the outcome, I'll listen to him. I haven't heard one proposal from him or Harry Reid that would have saved one life. And I'm all for saving lives, and I think it's a real and horrible tragedy. But I think it's a mistake to play on these victims and the emotions of their tragedy when nothing he's proposing would change one iota of what happened. We plan on making them have at least 60 votes to pass any legislation that may abridge the Second Amendment. So we will fight tooth and nail and use every parliamentary procedure to stop that from happening. We have a lot of things on the books that the president says he wants to enhance. Many of these can be enhanced without any legislation. Background checks already do work. We already have rules that say mental health statistics need to come from the states into the data bank. Interestingly, some of the most pro-gun control states in our country are the ones not giving up their mental health information. So I think there's a lot of room where things could be improved, but unfortunately still none of this would have changed the outcome. In fact, the only thing that would have changed the outcome, potentially changed the outcome, is something that so many people don't want to hear, and that's self-defense. That if someone there had a concealed carry, if someone had been armed, they might have had a fighting chance. They might not have saved everybody, but they might have been able to save some of those.
Not the bad guys.
What happens a lot of times when you have gun control is the law-abiding citizens who want to get a gun for protection can't get it. But do you think the criminals out there are worried about the law? They're already breaking the law.
On the
Control.
The people who do all these shootings die in the end, and they don't care about that there's a law against murder. So they're not people who are deterred by law. I'm deterred by law. Most of us are probably deterred by law, but the criminals aren't.
Paul says, while it's not a perfect solution, he also believes that schools should have the option of allowing some teachers to be armed. Lawrence Smith, WD.
I think that self-defense is part of the solution. I don't think you're getting rid of 300 million guns in our country, and nobody's even talking about that. They're talking about the restriction of new sales, so there'll still be 270 million guns out there, and then those of us in this room who are all law-abiding citizens would have trouble buying guns. Also, gun control raises the price of guns, so the poor can't buy guns. Rich people still could. It costs like $1,000, I think, in D.C. to get a permit. You know, most people can't afford to get a permit to get a gun. And so I think part of the answer is, as much as this troubles liberals and is hard for them, is if my kids were at that school, I would have preferred that each who had concealed carry had a gun in their desk, or a principal. Is it perfect? No. Would they always get the killer? No. Would an accident sometimes happen in a melee? Maybe. But nobody had any defense, and so he just kept shooting until he was tired and decided to shoot himself. There are a lot of things that could be done. Registration didn't help. The woman's guns were registered, and the son stole them. The only thing that really could have helped, she knew he had trouble if she'd had him locked up. But can you go in everybody's house and find out if their guns are locked up? There's no way we could do that. Is it a good idea to lock your guns up if you've got an unstable family member or if you have children? Absolutely. But I don't think there's an easy answer to this.
Congress.
What my bill would do would say that if it amounts to legislation, or if it contravenes the Second Amendment, that it would be null and void, and that we would have standing to sue over that.
In an interview,
I think I don't begrudge any famous person like Mayor Bloomberg or the president's family from having protection. I think they all should. There's enough crazy people out there that would attack people on the right or the left. But I think when you are being protected by people who have weapons, who are responsible people, I can't see why you would be opposed to that for other people. And so, yes, many rich Hollywood celebrities have armed guards with them at all times, and then many regular people who live in a poor neighborhood, who have a business in a poor neighborhood, and a neighborhood that may have higher crime, those people have to suffer the vicissitudes of violent crime without protection sometimes because of gun control laws. So, yes, I think there is a certain amount of hypocrisy.
Sure. Okay. Sure. Okay, sir. I love my Kimber 1911 45 caliber, and I also love my Browning over/under shotgun. What's your favorite firearm?
I'm a good old shotgun guy, and I grew up not being really much of a hunter or a marksman or anything like that, but I would shoot skeet and still do shoot skeet on occasion with friends.
All right.